Terry Palmer,
Yes.
can I have Mayor print something out from your computer that Lisa just sent to you to print for me?
She was wanting to break it. They took her back in last night and went back in and had to remove an inch and a half of ball.
Just got a little infected.
Yeah.
Well, you don't hear too many happy
No, and you don't hear about it, what kids.
No.
Yeah.
Interesting. She doesn't have any underlying medical
No,
conditions, does she?
No.
I don't think they know.
She's at Aldsmar's and,
Or she couldn't be.
my son tells me there's only 4 kids on the court.
Nobody wants to be there.
Nobody wants to be there. Yeah. Right.
Hello, Chief, how are you?
I am well, how about you?
Good, thank you.
How's the baby?
Baby is good. No, not so much a baby anymore.
How old now?
19 months. I know, time flies.
19 months, wow.
Isn't that crazy? It feels like I just had him yesterday.
No.
Mary Beth just wanted to know if I was having another. I'm like, no, not right now. Not with COVID and everything else going on. No, thank you. I just think I would lose my mind.
Cinda?
Well, good luck to her, sir, that's.
Yeah, Mary?
Okay, I just wanted to make sure we could hear each other and also.
Yeah, she's, she'll get on the mend now, I hope,
Is that too loud?
but she'll probably be in the hospital for another week or more.
That's good.
Oh my God. Yeah, everybody ought to have one of these.
The chief ticked off. Are we online?
Yes.
Oh.
I don't believe you made me do that. But I gotta go show the chief now.
Okay.
Hey, chief.
We are live.
Oh, this is warm.
It is.
Hot off the press.
Oh.
Oh, man. Childhood games we play. What's up, sir?
Somebody asked you
Oh,
something.
that's the new one?
Oh.
What else?
That's it.
Mary, did you, I have the employment manual. Where's Mary? Mary?
Oh, thank you.
Ask her.
I don't think so. Will we? No, not yet.
I want everybody to know that Bill got his ID card.
What?
Yay!
Yeah, you got it. Let's do the wave. I'll start.
Yeah, but then I send it like.
I know.
Oh.
By making another copy.
Okay.
I have my copy of this
Oh,
too.
6 o'clock, guys.
Yep.
Yeah, we've been great going here. Jeez Louise.
Good evening. Welcome to the Town of Redington Shores Board of Commissioners regular meeting. Today's Wednesday, February 10th, 2020, 6 p.m. This meeting is conducted hybrid, so just the panelists here in person and the attendees will be by Zoom only. Please rise to the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
liberty and justice for all.
Mary, please call roll.
Commissioner Blackburn,
Here.
Commissioner Krajewski,
Present.
Vice Mayor Robinson,
Here.
Mayor Henderson,
Here.
Attorney Denhart.
Attorney Rubenstein is here for Attorney Dunhart.
Yes, I'm sorry. Attorney Rubenstein.
Thank you.
I'd like to ask Cinda, if she can hear, everybody can hear out there. Is she on there?
Mics are very good tonight.
Oh, good.
Oh, wow. You even sound good.
And
You
you
sound
guys
great,
take
yeah.
your mask off and
Yeah, when you're talking, if you guys could maybe take your masks off, that would probably help with, okay, I know you really love that.
And Mayor, I would like to do something before you do the minutes.
Okay, Mary, could you use your microphone, please? Yeah.
The minutes, I do not have the January 19th done. I do not have your January 27th in there. So I just wanted to point that out to you all. The rest are in, you know, I'm sure you all noticed it, but just to.
Did you have the special meeting for February 1st?
That I believe is,
February 3rd is here.
no, the February 1st meeting is not done.
February 3rd is here, yeah. I didn't see it.
That's not on.
Okay. So we're gonna open the regular meeting. We'll have the approval of minutes for the regular meeting, November 19th, 2020, special meeting, January 13th, 2021, and special meeting, January 18th, 2021.
I'll make a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes of November 19th, 2020, the special meeting January 13th, and the special meeting January 18th, 2021.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Mary, please call the roll.
Commissioner Blackburn,
Yes.
Commissioner Krajewski,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Robinson,
Yes.
Mayor Henderson.
Yes. Okay, so motion to ratify the January and February 2021 bills.
I move to ratify the January bills.
Second.
It's January and February.
January, February, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yes.
So
Second, concur.
Yes.
a motion and a second. Any discussion? Mary, please call roll.
Commissioner Blackburn,
Yes.
Commissioner Krajewski,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Robinson.
Yes.
Mayor Henderson.
Yes. Okay, on to commission reports. Okay, about a week ago, I was invited by the mayor of Madera to attend a special meeting with Congressman Charlie Crist. He was here to discuss how to help homeowners that have had significant damage to their homes from ETA, but were having serious problems with their insurance carrier paying for the damage. So I was able to have a conversation with him about substantial damage and how FEMA 50% affects our residents. I must say he was very surprised. I knew as much as I did, but I have to confess that the floodplain manager from Pinellas, Lisa Foster, has been my teacher. So he was like, wow, really? I said, yes. So thank you, Lisa. I was also able to bend his ear a bit about beach renourishment and the fact that we are in jeopardy of losing it for the entire barrier island because of the need for all of the perpetual easements. So he actually said that he had been in conversation with the Army Corps of Engineers and trying to get them to understand that they need to maybe rewrite some of that language that's really put a damper on getting these things signed. I know I received a 24-page booklet from a citizen group that said, you know, you shouldn't do this and why you shouldn't do this. And so we're fighting some pretty tough stuff to get these easements done. So any kind of movement that Congressman Chris can give us would be wonderful. And he did give me a cell phone number, and he's probably going to wish he hadn't done that. I also want to say that the cubicles have been installed, and it's so much better than we thought. It's nice for everyone to have a designated place for all of their stuff and a quiet, professional environment to work in there. And it is, I think it just looks amazing. That is actually all I have for this evening. Vice Mayor Robinson.
Well, following up on your last comment, I want to thank you for giving up that large office of yours and moving into that smaller space. But that really works well, I think, for all of the commissioners. We're generally not here all at the same time. We're generally here off and on, come and go, that sort of thing. But it is nice to have a quiet place to sit at your laptop and do your work. And of course, we're all very cognizant of not conducting business outside a public meeting. And since we don't have any landline telephones in there, it's awfully easy for any of us who receive a call to step out and take it. So anyone who's concerned about that really shouldn't be. It's a non-issue. Moving on Monday evening, I participated in a call with the Pinellas County Sheriff and with the FBI regarding the Oldsmar water treatment plant hack that I think everybody's heard about now. Basically, the hack was made possible because Oldsmar had allowed remote access to their system by some employees who were working from home during the pandemic. The good thing about this is that Oldsmar caught it quickly, but they also have redundant safeguards and the residents were really not at risk. So while we in Redington Shores don't manage a water treatment facility or anything of the like, the incident is a reminder of the potential dangers out there. Banks, hospitals, corporations and municipalities have all had their data and systems held hostage for ransom by hackers. We regularly back up our data and our systems. So this whole incident is just a good reminder to all of us to practice really good cyber security measures. That means change your passwords regularly, use random characters, that don't use the same password for multiple sites, don't open mail that you're not that you think is suspicious or you don't know, don't download apps on the town's system or town devices. If you think you've been compromised, please contact Mary immediately or Adrian immediately and deal with it. I think we've got a good system and I think everybody watches things closely, but again, this is just a good reminder of that. Over the next several weeks, Deputy Clerk Zinders and I will be going over our floodplain management and public information committee, all of our messaging, all of the things that we need to do this year, working on a basic framework for the calendar for that, then holding our own floodplain and public information working group meeting. You know, as you know, we're all part of the county-wide program now, but there are many things that we need to do to follow up on what that uniform messaging and everything is. So we'll be working on that over the next month and probably holding a Zoom meeting with our own committee over the next few weeks. That's the end of my report.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Commissioner Blackburn.
Okay. First of all, since Chief Burford is here, if you want to do the fire report.
Absolutely. Good evening, Commission. Heather Burford, Fire Chief of the City of Seminole Fire Department, one of two fire departments that provide services to your area. For the month of January 2021, we had 2 non-emergency fire responses for an average response time of 7 minutes and 36 seconds, and there were 3 emergency fire responses for an average response time of 6 minutes and 17 seconds. On the EMS side of the house, we had 9 non-emergency EMS calls, average response time 5 minutes 21 seconds, and 20 emergency response times for an average response time of 4 minutes and 57 seconds. The details of the report have been submitted to Commissioner Blackburn. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you so much. Thanks. We found out this week that Steve Jordan with the Public Works Department is going to be retiring. April 1st, is it? March 31st. And we're talking about a replacement for him. Brad is still out, but hopefully we'll know more about that after towards the end of this month. I do want to say real quick, I want to give a thank you to Commissioner Krajewski because in moving around the responsibilities and just in his district too, he got a call about a problem with the sewer from Friendlies. And just want to say I appreciate the professionalism that Commissioner called me up and said he had a conversation with Public Works employee and told me exactly what he said and was very respectful. We have to kind of share this employee between the sewer and the maintenance and parks department. And he was very respectful of that and very professional about that. And that was refreshing. I really appreciated it. Let's see here. Steve retiring. That's it. The rest of mine will go into I have a section on the old business. I'll wait for that.
Mayor. I want to point out for anybody who's listening in particular that Steve Jordan's retirement was always planned.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and he had been deciding, and I'd been talking with him
We
over
knew
the
this
past
was
several
coming.
months
Yeah.
as to exactly when he was going to do it. And I talked with him again today. He's looking forward to it, looking forward to spending some time with his family. And again, for anyone who's concerned, this was well planned by Steve in advance of this.
Got it. Great. And we wish him the best. That's it.
Thank you, Commissioner Frankie.
Yes. On January 29th, I participated in a webinar sponsored by the Clearwater and St. Petersburg Bar Association, focusing on law for public officials. It was very enlightening. And I understand there were a few folks that have helped us over the last couple of years that are on various committees that were also part of that. Just for the record, I'm not an attorney. So it was definitely very enlightening. Given the recent situation with the change in the commissioner's role, I'd like to provide an update based on Mayor Henderson assigning me the supervising and oversight responsibilities for the sewer, given that there were several projects that were currently underway and needed some attention. So that was last Wednesday. So the next day, February 4th, Thursday morning, I met with representatives from the Pinellas County Utilities Organization to discuss their report that they had drafted regarding the evaluation of the town's wastewater collection system. And this meeting had been previously scheduled, and it was just happened to be that I was here in Town Hall when the gentleman from the PCU showed up. And also, unbeknownst to Mary, our town clerk, this meeting was not scheduled or on the agenda. So I felt it was appropriate and professional to take the meeting with these gentlemen to at least review the draft of their documents that they had put together. Following up on that meeting, as a result of that meeting, they have some follow-ups that need to be resolved and some questions I had regarding, and responses are due to my questions. And once I have that information, I'll probably schedule a workshop to discuss their proposal. I think that's appropriate, isn't it, Mary? Okay. So I don't have much more to report on that, but there is a draft out there that was submitted to us last Thursday. Also on February 4th, that Thursday, I reached out to Butch Lanaville from Miller Pipeline to discuss the work that the Miller organization had in their queue. And there are 3 projects associated with laterals on Gulf Boulevard. The first one had to do with the inspection of the manholes located on Gulf Boulevard. This survey or inspection was limited to approximately 28 manholes. I'm waiting confirmation on that. Literally, there was a series of emails that came in late today around 4:30. I don't even know, Mary, you were copied on those. I don't know if you saw them yet, but they came in.
27 manholes on Gulf Boulevard.
Excuse me?
27 manholes.
27? Okay, well, thank you. Because he said between 27 and 28, so I guess 27 is the number. But interestingly enough, that represents only about 16%. 16%. We have 177 manholes in the town. So I think there might be more work that might need to be done associated with that, given that this particular study was limited, the request was limited to only the manholes on Gulf Boulevard. And a final report was forthcoming which will include videos. Also regarding some additional work that needs to get done regarding the San Vista Hotel, as well as the Vesivo Restaurant and Wine Knot. As relates to the San Vista Hotel, there are 2 laterals that had an initial inspection. The inspection was performed from the cleanouts towards the main line. Both laterals were found to be in very poor condition. The inspection had to be somewhat limited because there was turbocirculation buildup inside those pipes, which meant basically they couldn't get through from the laterals out to the main line. So that inspection was somewhat minimized, or at least is postponed, and I'll talk a little bit more about this as I explain what else has to be done with the Vesivo Restaurant and Wine Knot. And the final course of action regarding the San Vista is basically on hold right now. As far as the Vesivo Restaurant and Wine Knot, when I spoke with Butch about those 2 premises, he stated that he had not been told that there was an issue there with those 2, nor he had been requested to do any work. So that was last Thursday. And I thought that given the circumstances and the somewhat short notice, he was able to get a crew out yesterday. They did some preliminary work out on Gulf Boulevard, but unfortunately, when the Miller pipeline inspectors went out, they couldn't locate the cleanouts on the property line. So basically what it boils down to is now they're going to have to start from Gulf Boulevard and work their way back. And that's a similar situation that they're going to have to do with the San Vista Hotel also, given the clogged lines there. So Butch had requested and sent out, he requested Mary again, that was part of that email, one of the 2 emails, Mary, that I guess we have to get a hold of the FDOT to get a one-stop service request in. And my understanding is that request takes approximately 2 weeks.
It's just not,
Well, that's what
but
he
I
was,
will, if they're just doing maintenance, I was told when we, from FDOT that I just need to send them that we're doing maintenance on the boulevard, give them the location, and if I don't hear back from them in a couple of days, it's a go.
okay, well, right now, Butch had basically thought that it would take up to possibly 2 weeks, I guess.
Okay.
And therefore, right now, his subcontractor is scheduled to start on March 1st
Oh, okay.
or 2nd. So that's a little over 2 weeks out. But if we can expedite that, by all means, I think I can reach out to Butch, or you can reach out to Butch and tell him that go ahead and possibly accelerate the work that needs to get done. Any questions, by the way, from either the mayor or the commissioners on what I just reported about the sewers?
I have a question about the manholes. Could those manholes actually be the problem that we're having with the excessive sewer bill? Because that.
Mayor, I've only been in the job 5 days.
But now
So,
I'm starting to get antennas up on maybe that's really the problem.
wow, you're a little pushy.
I know. Get on it.
I'm on it, so I'll report back to you on that, but we'll see. But actually, it's kind of interesting because when I, actually, the way I found out about how many manholes were in the town, part of the PCU proposal, in that proposal, it talked about the manholes, and they stated that there were 177. So Mary, I'm assuming that's the right number.
That one I jumped now.
Yeah. So anyway, but I just thought it was kind of interesting that we had somewhat limited the scope of the work to only about 16% of the manholes in the town. But I don't know, maybe that was a result of funding or some other issues. So that was another reason why I asked for that financial report, because I wanted to see what numbers we had in the budget.
I did have another question about the San Vista. You mentioned that, do we not know where the problem is then? I thought it was
Okay.
certainly on our side.
Well, they're stating that there is a problem it sounds like on their lateral,
On San Vista.
San Vista, because they couldn't get the inspection fully through the lateral to go out to get it to meet basically the main on Gulf Boulevard. So they're gonna have to work backwards because we'd have a bigger problem if Gulf Boulevard was blocked up.
Yeah.
So they're gonna basically start on the back end, if you will, or front end, depending on how you want to look at it, starting Gulf Boulevard and then penetrate those laterals to find out where the issues are and isolate them.
Anybody else have any questions?
Yes, just with regard to this report that came from the county with regard to the system, Kirby Howell in particular and other members of the FAC have done work on this over the years. If there's no objection, I want to share that report with the FAC for whatever value that might bring to us.
Well, Michael,
You've already done it.
already done it.
Good man. Good man. That's fine.
Since I was part of the finance committee, I know it was on our docket, and Kirby and I have a good relationship, and Kirby, I received a copy of it.
Perfect. Another example of how things get done the way they should. Thanks. Appreciate it.
I don't like moss growing underneath my feet.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Okay. And then the only other final item I have to report out is that there is a Gulf Beaches Library Board of Trustees meeting the end of this month on the 22nd. So I'll be attending that. That's my report.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to old business, I'm gonna open the public hearing. And it will be number one is the first reading and advertised public hearing for ordinance 21-02.
Ordinance number 21-02, an ordinance by the Board of Commissioners of the Town of Redington Shores pertaining to flood damage prevention, amending the Code of Ordinances, Chapter 90, Land Development Code, Part 1, Building and Building Regulation, and Part 2, Flood Damage Prevention, to amend the Florida Building Code and to provide criteria for accessory structures in flood hazard areas, providing for applicability and severability, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, so you guys, I'm sure saw the planning and zoning
Yes.
did not recommend going forward
I just told that.
With,
changing it to the 1 year. So let me give you a little bit of background. Okay, so when I started on the commission in 2014, the 50% 5-year cumulative had already been adopted. I basically inherited that. And after being on the commission for a while, it became abundantly clear that our residents needed some relief from this restrictive ordinance. I spent months and months and months and months working with FEMA, the state, the county, and our consultants to come up with what I thought would help our residents be able to make improvements to their homes without jeopardizing our 5-year cumulative. The result was a list of exclusions to that rule, which included things to help resiliency and green energy. For example, impact doors, impact windows, new roofs, elevating your outdoor unit of your air conditioner, solar panels would also be excluded from that 5-year cumulative, and all those things that helped harden a home in times of an event. It wasn't until about 3 months ago when Tropical Storm Etta hit Redington Shores, and I realized something more needed to be done to help our residents to be able to improve or fix their properties. So once again, I met with some of those same agencies to come up with something that was FEMA compliant and also resident friendly. So tonight, I would like to ask the commission to support dropping the 5-year cumulative to a 1-year cumulative with no exceptions for hardening or green energy. Unfortunately, this solution is not the most resilient for the town, but it is FEMA compliant and does not put our town at risk with the NFIP with losing that National Flood Insurance Program. So let's give the residents what they're asking for and put their wants and needs first right now.
So would that have to go before the P&Z again?
No.
No.
And remember that the P&Z is a recommendation board, and I know Lisa and I are very close, but we are agreeing to disagree on this one topic.
is there no middle of the road between the 1 and the 5-year?
There's 3, but it really doesn't help with
3-year?
It really doesn't help with being able to do that much, but it's not permit to permit, and that's the important part.
What do you mean it's not permit to permit? What does that mean?
The 1 year makes you wait an entire year before you can
Oh,
do
yeah.
another project.
Like permit to permit would be
Permit
the
to permit
worst.
is
Yeah,
all.
right.
It's really another form of phasing. And
Right.
even with this 1 year, we have to be very, very diligent in the building department to make sure that nothing
Mhm.
is going on that would be construed as phasing. Because in the event we were ever audited, that was, we would be in trouble.
Then people would lose their discount on their insurance, correct?
I believe we have a possibility of actually being kicked out of the NFIP.
NFIP,
program, and
right.
NFIP is vitally important because if you owe a dime, as you know, on a
Mhm.
mortgage, you have to have flood insurance.
Mhm, right.
So this is the best that I could come up with to please people and to still keep the town FEMA compliant. And this is what most of the towns actually do. I mean, Indian Shores, I believe, has 10-year cumulative. And there are some towns that probably risk it and go permit to permit, but I think that would not be in our best interest to do something like that.
I'm not familiar with what the other towns do. I just remember when researching it before, way back when, I found that there were towns in Florida that have a lifetime limit. Like for the life of the property, you can improve it up to 50% of the structure's value once in the life of the property.
And that just seems,
And
insane to
that
me.
was some small town in Florida that apparently had a real problem.
They're probably not on the water impacted by what we have here, because I can't believe that.
you gotta let people do
Yeah,
some things to
exactly.
their home. I mean, if you've got a 1950s original cottage, I mean, it's not fair to make them have to live with that, almond or green or whatever crazy mustard yellow stuff.
I
in the
just
bathrooms and
I just want to make sure that this doesn't, I would prefer the in between the 3-year because I don't want to make it, it seems like going to 1 year, we might make it unattractive for people to go with elevating their,
I don't
structure.
think so. I don't think so. We don't have any of those exclusions in there anymore.
Mhm.
So the things that the hardening,
Mhm.
they would be included. So if you want to get solar panels, that's probably pretty much your maxed out for the year.
okay.
If you want to do a bathroom remodel, I don't know. That could be the end of your one project for the year. I hate, it's just a fine line we're walking,
Mhm.
Yeah, so,
I'm out there and I'm listening and I'm trying to sell it to you guys. And we did approve this to go to
Yeah.
P&D
Yeah.
unanimously. So
I'm just
So-
afraid
I
of
understand. And
losing
I
the discount and, yeah.
It's not that huge of a discount.
Mhm.
Not that I think that should be what we're basing it on,
Mhm.
but from what I understand, it's not gonna impact us that greatly. We're just gonna have to find other
yeah,
ways of making those points that will, we're just gonna have to, I feel like.
And
And-
absolutely keep an eye on it with the building
Oh,
department,
yeah,
like crazy.
absolutely.
so in reading the P and Z's minutes and reading information that came from Lisa Foster, and I respect Lisa greatly, and I'm as involved as any commissioner having oversight over that floodplain management and public information working group effort. And so I understand what the objective is of FEMA and what we all want, which is for the town to be more resilient, to be able to build to that and not cut such corners that reduces the incentive for people to do that. But I also understand that particularly many of the homes that are affected by this, who are ground level homes and small, and the value such that 50% is really is, as you say, Mayor, really limits what a person can do because the 50 reaching the 50% in those homes is very, very quickly done. I'm concerned with NFIP and with the insurance. I'm not concerned about the CRS points. We'll either make those up or we won't, and that's not the issue. The issue to me is jeopardizing NFIP and our ability to get insurance. We don't want that to happen. I do believe that before NFIP came in, and maybe Lisa can correct me on this, but from what I read, FEMA would likely put us on probation or provide us some notice of that. If that was the case, I would assume that this body may come in and decide to take other actions, which then may extend that time period and then keep us from losing that insurance. So again, I hear from residents as well, particularly in those areas that have those ground level homes, and they desperately need some relief. I'm not so concerned about the phasing issue. I mean, if you're going to phase and you're going to do a huge amount of work and you're planning to do that, you're likely going to raise your home. You're not going to just do a kitchen or whatever and call it that and trying to be phased. So I understand the pros and cons, but yeah, I support moving us to 1 year.
Michael, on that subject, everything's, I guess it's paragraph 2 here on the first page, paragraph A, the last sentence was highlighted, adopts, the public body adopts adequate flood management measures with effective enforcement measures. So I'm assuming this was the letter that came out from Lisa. I'm sorry.
Okay, I was looking
Yeah, I
at
know you were
whatever.
looking at the actual
Yeah,
ordinance.
yeah.
I'm referring to that. So I guess my question becomes, since that's where kind of the antenna went up with me, and I guess it relates to the NFIP, adopting a 1 year versus 5 year, that will not in any way, shape, or form affect the measurements in which to adequately enforce measurement of these particular land. It's on the bottom of the other page.
No, I understand that. And probably Lisa's on the phone and she may want to comment on this topic before we make a decision. But also in the information that she provided, beyond that, she provided the actual statute,
Yep.
59.24 that says a community eligible for the sale of flood insurance shall be subject to suspension from the program for failing to submit copies of adequate flood plain management regulations meeting the minimum requirements.
Right.
So there is a question in my mind whether or not a 1 year policy would put us in jeopardy or not. That may
Right.
meet the requirement, but if it didn't and we were suspended, we could take action, I suppose, to rectify that. That's why I'm
Okay.
where I'm at with
Okay, I
the.
think you and I are in the same.
That's why I'm at with this.
And I'm definitely not as coherent on this as you are. So, but that was the thing that jumped out at me.
Well, the attorneys have also been part of putting this ordinance together, and they're not gonna put us in jeopardy of any of this. We've all been talking.
And the town's worked with a consultant that is very familiar with FEMA regulations and that as well in the ordinance.
I just don't feel like we're putting the town at
Yeah.
like risk of that.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, there is downside, but I think there's positive too. So with that, I would make a motion that we pass ordinance 21-02.
If I could just interrupt before
Yeah.
the motion, we need to open it
Oh,
up for
yeah.
public comment for the public hearing portion.
My mistake. I did it again.
Cinda,
Okay, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Do we have any attendees that care to speak on this subject for 3 minutes?
At this point, we have 24 attendees. And attendees are allowed to speak 3 minutes on this subject. If you would like to speak, just press the raised hand icon. If you're via the phone, press *6, and I will call your name and then just repeat your name and your address. And then when you begin to speak, I'll set the timer for 3 minutes. So I think we're ready. So any resident wishing to speak, raise their hand at this time. Right now, I have one resident wishing to speak, and that is Carol Music. So Carol, I'm talk, and go ahead and speak at this time. Unmute yourself.
Can you hear me?
So if you just would repeat your name, address, and then I'll start the timer.
Carol Music, 17822 and 17820 Lee Avenue.
Thank you.
You said you're working with a consultant. What consultant is it that you're working with?
That was Rebecca Quinn and some other of the,
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
it was Rebecca Quinn, that the town worked with along with Lisa Foster. And, there was a few others, I'm not sure of their names.
Okay, and they said that going from 5 years to 1 year is not going to affect the CRS points and the FEMA flood insurance?
I'm not sure that it won't affect it, but there's other ways our PPI committee can come up with to get points for the town.
And just as a reminder, this is your time for public comment. So if you could make your comments, ask any questions you have, and then when public comment is over, the town commission can address anything that's been raised.
Okay, so my comment is, if 1 year is okay, why isn't permit to permit? And I find it very interesting that now nobody is concerned that much about the CRS points, whereas, and about the fairness for all people, whereas when I came there a year ago, Mary Beth said that she was going to get every CRS point she possibly could, and I was denied having a pool and having the same variances that she had and everybody else had, and it was all about the CRS points. So every resident is not treated fairly. However, I agree, I think it should be permit to permit, and using the whether we're going to lose the insurance program and all that is just a smokescreen. It should be permit to permit. The town is not responsible for protecting the homeowner's property. The homeowners are. And a lot of homeowners cannot afford to rebuild 13 feet up, or actually 17 feet up, 16 and 17 feet up. That's all I have to say on that.
Thank you, Carol. If there are any other citizens that wish to speak, this would be the appropriate time to raise your hand. And I will give you a minute. And let me zoom through here. We have no other residents that are wishing to speak at this time. So thank you very much. And this concludes the public comment for this particular issue.
And with that, I would renew my motion to adopt ordinance number 2102.
I'll second it.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion? All right, please call roll.
Commissioner Blackburn,
Yes.
Commissioner Fryasky,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Robinson,
Yes.
Mayor Henderson.
Okay.
Oh, I think did I have the right ordinance? Yeah, I guess I did. My mistake.
Yes.
Okay, we're fine.
I'm looking at you. I get you back.
Okay, so the second item is the second reading and advertising public hearing of ordinance 21-03.
Ordinance number 21-03, an ordinance of the Town Commission of the Town of Redington Shores, Florida, pertaining to the regulation of vacation rentals, amending section 90-116 of the Code of Ordinances, providing for severability, providing for an effective date. Mayor,
Could I,
public hearing. No, it is open to public hearing, but not with Michael.
I just want to make sure the public hearing was open.
Oh,
for the
yeah,
record.
okay. So it is, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So would you, Lauren, would you mind reading the letter that Mr. Denhart sent?
Sure, absolutely. Our office sent a memorandum that was dated February 5th. Attached is an ordinance amending 90-116 of the Code of Ordinances pertaining to vacation rentals, which will be before you for second reading at your February 10th commission meeting. This ordinance incorporates several whereas clauses, which reflect the commission's finding of fact and legislative intent in passing the proposed amendments to section 90-116, which our office has previously discussed with each individual commissioner. These whereas clauses will clearly memorialize the Commission's desire to amend the ordinance to ensure that no provision of the ordinance infringes upon a property owner's constitutional right.
Thank you. And since I was the commissioner that worked on this ordinance along with you, Lauren. I appreciate you mentioning that, and they're reading that letter, and I appreciate the whereases that are now in the document. And for the commission's benefit, I would like to just kind of mention what those changes are to this simply. The first one is on page 2, paragraph C1, that deletes the application fee. On page 3, paragraph C1M, it requires a scale drawing of the property, including bedrooms and sleeping areas. On page 4, C5 deletes discretionary inspections. And of course, we had a great deal of discussion about this at our workshop. And I'd like to reiterate the fact that we may still do inspections under a lawful court order. So this just eliminates discretionary inspections. On page 5, D2 small d, again, eliminates inspections without an order. And then lastly, on page 7, D12, it just eliminates language which says that it requires compliance with all applicable other laws. Well, you have to comply with those applicable other laws, whether it's in this. So that was just unnecessary language that was in this in the ordinance. So those are the changes.
Yeah, do you want to?
I'm good.
Sit down.
Coming in. Okay. Once again, time for public comment. If there are any residents who would like to speak, please raise your hand by pressing that raised hand icon. If you're on the phone, press *6. At this time, any residents may do this. We have no raised hands. We have 23 attendees right now on our conference tonight, and we have no hands raised. So I believe that would conclude our request for public comment. Thank you.
And I would move to adopt ordinance number 21-03.
I'll second it.
Motion by Vice Mayor Robinson, second by Commissioner Fayette. Any other discussion? Hearing none, Mary, please call.
Commissioner Blackburn,
Yes.
Commissioner Fayette,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Robinson.
Yes.
Mayor Henderson.
Okay, at this time, we'll close the public hearing and we're moving on to the third item under old business, is the approval to repair dock at Belleville Park.
Okay, it's not, you can see, did you get this supplement, the one page? Okay, yeah. So it's,
Premier.
right, yeah, just making, make a motion that we approve the paying Premier CPS to repair the Del Bello Park fishing pier at the cost of $9,700. Also to reinforce the pavilion base plates that are deteriorating at a cost of $5,375, and also redoing the fishing platform by the tennis courts at a cost of $10,250. Move to approve those items that we discussed at the workshop last time.
Well, that fishing pier has been closed far too long, so how fast can they do this?
It's pretty bad, yeah. I think he even said in there how long it would take.
Takes 2 weeks, but
A couple of
when they
weeks. Yeah, soon as possible.
start, a lot of it-
My math is
I
right.
know,
We're looking
yeah.
at approximately $20,000 on, $25,000 on.
And that is in our capital improvement
Yes.
fund budgeted for the LTU monies.
I move.
Second.
I'm second.
Okay,
Nice job, Gene.
Thanks.
motion and second, any discussion? Linda, do you have any attendees that care to comment on
If we have any attendees at this time, we have 20 remaining on our session. Please raise your hand, or if you're on the phone, please press *6. We have one person right now with hand raised. That is Carol Music. Carol, I'm going to unmute you. Please state your name and address again. You will have 3 minutes to speak. You may unmute yourself.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Ken. Very well. Thank you.
Carol Music, 17822 and 17820 Lee Avenue. No one can understand you because you are muffled when you are speaking.
Are you me, Carol?
No, Cinda is the only person that anybody can understand. When you are reading things out, whoever's speaking, if they can take off their mask while they are reading, because nobody can understand anything to even hear what's being discussed.
Thank you. Was there anything else, Carol, or?
That's all.
Okay, thank you. We have no other, let me zoom through here real quick. No other attendees wishing to speak at this time. So the question and answer period has concluded for this subject. Thank you.
Okay. We have a motion on the second. Is there any other discussion? Thank you, Jen. Mayor, you please call roll.
Commissioner Blackburn,
Yes.
Commissioner Fryerski,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Robinson.
Yes.
Mayor Henderson.
Okay, we have an added item that should have been put on there, and it wasn't, I guess. Approval of the employment manual, we spoke about it, and it's supposed to be on this agenda, and we
My
may have.
mistake, I'm sorry.
I don't know if Lisa Henderson is on the phone, so could you check?
Lisa is on. Let me just make sure she's still on here. Yes, she is. She has her hand raised. Would you like to hear from her at this point? Hello? I didn't hear. Do you want to hear Lisa speak?
Yes, please.
You're really, your voice, your sound is getting weaker and weaker.
Yes, we want to hear from her.
Okay, I'm gonna allow Lisa to speak, and you can unmute yourself, Lisa. Please state your name and address, and then go ahead and speak.
Okay, I am unmuted. This is Lisa Hendrickson here. Before you tonight, address is 17960 Gulf Boulevard, Unit 111. I am before you as a volunteer for the Personnel Advisory Committee. I currently serve as the chairperson for that committee. And our Personnel Advisory Committee met for our first meeting about a year ago, February 7th, 2020. And our mission was to discuss the committee's assignment of the employment manual. Since this time, we've had approximately 12 more meetings to discuss the various aspects of the manual. Once the committee was done with the edits, the manual was sent to the labor attorney for compliance review. All feedback from the labor attorney has been reviewed, discussed, and incorporated into the manual by the committee, for which you have before you tonight. And of course, a marked up legislative version is on file in the clerk's office for historical record keeping. Some of the highlights of the proposed manual offer updates to represent gender neutral language, remove outdated information and incorporate today's information and compliance of such with applicable laws and of course internal procedures that are applicable today. We also added language to clarify the purpose and the use of the employee manual. And there was recommended language throughout all the chapters to clarify and define today's intent and purpose. We initially brought the final version of the manual to the commission at the January 27th workshop meeting. At that meeting, we opened it up for questions, for answers, and of course, we were assigned an additional priority as a result of that meeting. And we came away from the workshop meeting with asking the committee to update the town's drug and alcohol policy, which of course is referenced in the employee manual. And then also it was placed on the agenda tonight for approval. The employee manual is placed on the agenda for approval by the Board of Commissioners. So at this time, I'm happy to receive any questions or comments pertaining to the employment manual from the commission.
I appreciate all the hard work.
Yeah, especially all the members of that committee. There are no other questions. I'm going to move to accept.
Take off your mind.
I'm sorry, yes. I'm sorry. If there are no other questions, I move to accept the new version of the employment manual.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Krasinski, second by Commissioner Blackburn. Any other discussion? Mary, please. Oh, I'm sorry. Cinda.
Okay. At this point, if there are any attendees, we have 20 remaining on the meeting. If any attendees have any comments that they would like to make regarding the subject of the employment manual, please raise your hand at this time. And if you're on the phone, press *6. At this time, we have no attendees with their hands raised, so I would believe this would conclude the comment section for our attendees. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you to the HR committee. It's a
Yeah.
great job. Really super job.
Long time.
Very good job.
All right. Mary, you call the roll?
Commissioner Blackburn.
Yes.
Commissioner Krasinski.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Robinson.
Yes.
Mayor Henderson.
Yes. Okay, I think that's it under old business. Let's move on to new business, which is approval for Forward Pinellas to assist in the zoning change for the 180th Avenue West and 181st Avenue West area. We spoke about this at the last, I think, workshop, and decided that the town would go ahead and apply for that change. And basically, this is just to allow Forward Pinellas to assist us in that process. We signed an agreement with them in 2018 for this type of service. So we're just gonna ask for approval so we can have this agreement and go through with it and have them system.
So as I understand it, didn't we also agree to go out to all the residents and make sure that they were all in agreement with this change?
Yes, actually, Sherry, I believe, put a letter together that she is sending out to each of the residents in that area, and I think they have to have that notarized and sent back to us. Is that correct? I think she's doing something like that.
The affidavit.
Right.
I'll check tomorrow, but that will be going out tomorrow.
So,
This is just so if
Right.
everyone's good with it, we have
I mean, I have a lot of emails, but we just gotta make sure it goes to every property owner.
our due diligence.
With that, I would approve that we forward to Forward Pinellas the request to assist us in the zoning of 180th Avenue West and 181st Avenue West.
Is that a motion?
Yes.
We have a motion by Vice Mayor, a second by Commissioner Krasinski. Do we have any discussion? Cinda? You see?
Okay, do we have any citizens? There are 19 remaining at the meeting. If any of the citizens would wish to speak on this subject, please raise your hand now. At this time, we have no citizens wishing to speak on the subject, so our public comment session has concluded. And we are done with this topic. Thank you.
Mary, will you please call the roll?
Commissioner Blackburn.
Yes.
Commissioner Krasinski.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Robinson.
Yes.
Mayor Henderson.
Yeah. Okay, now we are moving on to public comment. Cinda, you can call on a lot.
Okay. So now, at the conclusion of the meeting, if we have any public comments on any subjects that have not been discussed, this would be the time to raise your hand to be heard by our commission.
Instead of, we can limit those comments to 3 minutes, please.
Yes, I will. If I have any hands raised, I will then continue, okay? We have one person with their hand raised, that is Jerry Music. Jerry, I'm going to permit you to talk. You will have 3 minutes. Please give us your name and your address, and I will start the timer when you begin to speak. You are you're unmuted, so if you would unmute yourself at your end.
I believe I did. All right, thank you.
Yep, we
My
can hear
name
you.
is Jerry Music of 17820 Lee Avenue. And I'm looking at a public report from the Commission of Ethics from the state of Florida. And it regards Jeff Neal. And it reads, based on the preliminary investigation of this complaint and the recommendation of the commission's advocate, the Commission on Ethics finds there is no probable cause to believe the respondent, who is Jeff Neal, as a member of the Town Commission of Redington Shores, violated section 112.3136 Florida statutes by using or attempting to use his official position in interaction with the deputy town clerk to coerce her into issuing incomplete permits in the permit application process as alleged in the complaint. Accordingly, this complaint is dismissed with the issuance of this public report. So, and that's all I wanted to bring that to the attention of the City Commission.
Thank you. Thank you. We do have one more hand raised for public comment, and that is Carol Music. So Carol, I have unmuted you. If you would unmute yourself, state your name, and again, you would have 3 minutes to present your topic.
Carol Music, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Go right ahead.
So I have several things to discuss. One is in regard to that complaint dismissal. I'm wondering why Michael Robinson, who was appointed to be quote unquote liaison, which is something that Florida Ethics Commission's director said that they are unaware that there is such a thing. Why didn't Michael Robinson read that to everyone since
Again, Ms. Music, this is your opportunity to provide comments, and afterwards the commission will address whatever they feel is appropriate.
I don't know.
We lose everybody?
Cinda?
Yes, Carol, are you still speaking, Carol, or are you done? Carol? Carol?
I'm here.
Okay, you can continue speaking. Once you conclude, the commissioners will respond. So go ahead and make your statement.
I was making the statement. I don't know why I was interrupted. The comment I was making is, I am wondering why Michael Robinson, acting as liaison for Jeff Neal, did not read this information about the conclusion that found Jeff Neal not guilty, and this complaint was dismissed when the commission 4 days prior suspended Jeff when he said on January 19th that he had the results of the complaint in a letter that he brought there. And on January or on the 1st of February, Michael Robinson said he was a liar when he brought that. That's the first thing. The second thing is, I want to know why an unlicensed town commissioner is signing building permits. I think that's a violation of state law. I believe it says that only a licensed building official is authorized to sign any building permits. At the present time, the mayor is the one that signs building permits, and they aren't issued until she does. That presents a problem for me because I have a building permit, and I also have 3 lawsuits against the city for selective enforcement, amongst other things, and against the mayor. That's the other thing. I also object to the commissioners being in cubicles in one room, because you're supposed to not even show the impression that you're going to collude together or have any violations of talking together. And I think that's just very inappropriate. I also don't understand why the commissioners, when town hall is closed, are expected to be there every day.
Carol, your comment time is up. So could you conclude?
I've concluded.
Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Time for us to comment.
Yes, commissioners, you may comment.
I just want to make a note that the suspension of Commissioner Neal was unrelated to the ethics complaint against him. It had to do with electioneering and violation of our code 12-22 and the state election code 104 and 106. Separate matter entirely.
And with regard to what Commissioner, whether or not I was going to be the representative for the commission on that complaint, Mr. Drum, although not a commissioner, preferred to remain that since he was the complainant. He had the right to do that, and the commission, the ethics commission agreed with it. So I had not seen any result of any ethics complaint against Mr. Neal. I'll make this comment, which I made at the beginning of that whole process, that I believed, and I still believe, that we as a commission had an obligation to follow through with that. We had an obligation both to the resident who made the complaint to us, to the residents of the town, and to Commissioner Neal to resolve it. So this has been resolved. That's terrific.
And Mary, you didn't receive anything from the ethics commission at all?
No.
We have no way of knowing that then?
No.
Any other comment? Cinda?
If there's any other public comment at this time, please raise your hand. We have 18 attendees still remaining. Okay, we have no more hands raised, so that will conclude the public comment for this part of our meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Cinda. Okay, under miscellaneous, the next workshop meeting is Wednesday, February 24th, 2021 at 6 p.m. And the next regular meeting will be Wednesday, March 10th, 2020, 6 p.m. And that is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.